How do you handle the stereotypical parent?
People like they ask me casually, okay, how is it to be a single dad? How do you manage it? And how are you managing? That stuff.
So Tushar, you've become like an artsy craftsy dad. I must say, your Instagram feed is like amazing.
Thank you so
You've
much.
been doing so much. You've been doing so much stuff.
Yes, because I was homeschooling my son. So I thought it would be a good idea to, just get involved in the sense that it'll be good for me also, like a stress buster. And it turned out to be such that I didn't need to do all the cooking and the other things that everybody is doing. I made this like a focus. So
Yeah.
it kind of kept me so engaged that I decided that I'll share it also with some of with the followers. Why not?
And I love how you get excited about doing it, and then I feel you are as childlike as Laksh in the whole process, because you are also so curious to know कि अच्छा ये दिखेगा कैसा.
Yes, yes, it was quite interesting, and it became like a focus for me. So I started posting it, thinking that I want to post something that I'm originally doing. I don't want to make something up and pretend like, hey, this is what I'm doing at home. I want to do something that I'm really doing. And I was really enjoying. I was really homeschooling him, and those were the assignments that would come every morning, and we would finish them, and then I would upload them in the evening for the teachers. So it was very, very original. So I'm glad that my Instagram page has really gotten a big boost because of my son's activities.
Are we all guilty of this?
Mm-hmm.
Are we all guilty of this? Either someone is baking and getting the boost, or somebody is doing kids activities and getting a boost, which is amazing. But I personally enjoyed a lot because I think the activities are simple, and I feel you are so passionately doing it. No, so Instagram ka boost and all that I don't know, but I think your passion for doing it with him is very evident. Like everything else aside, so I think that's a good, like, you see a lot of genuine, you can see the genuineness and the passion that comes along with it. So I just have that to confess from being like just a follower. I just feel like that's like the big takeaway for me.
Thank you so much. Yes, I never really posted so much earlier. I just started posting a lot more. I got more active with the lockdown, and I think the mind is such that you need to feel productive when you're home. You can't just lie back and not have a routine or not have things to do. And this is very connected to my profession also, although it is part of my fatherhood. But Instagram and social media is connected to my profession.
Yes.
So it made me feel productive as a father also, and it made me feel productive otherwise also. So it kind of had both positives associated with it. And yes, of course, my son, I think sometimes I get so involved that I forgot that I'm supposed to teach him. So I started doing it, in the way that it had to be perfect, and then I let go after a point that okay, no, it has to be part of his skill set. So it's okay if it goes a little wrong, and it's fine if you don't get it right completely. So we started having fun also. But those are just few of the activities. We did a lot of letters and numbers and besides art and craft and singing.
Do you lose your cool, Tushar? Do you lose your cool in doing all this? Or you're loving it?
I was losing my cool with my son at times because there was one experiment where you had to blow bubbles from a straw, with soap water, and then take a straw and blow in so that the bubbles form. And he just, I don't know how much, he took in all that water, which was colored water mixed with salt, and he just swallowed it. So I got very angry with him. And then sometimes he'd just be like losing interest and not cutting the colored paper, or he'd just draw very randomly, or he'd just pour all the Fevicol on the craft work and make a mess of it. So I used to get a little annoyed. I said, you want to do it or you don't want to do it? So then I realized that you have to have patience with kids because their mood swings are very strong, and you have to wait for them to really get focused, and you can't lose your cool. So I learned a lot about being a teacher, and I think it's not easy.
Yeah, I have tremendous respect for teachers after this lockdown. I always did. But after this, I have just newfound respect because I have two kids. I have one 11-year-old and one 7-year-old. And I'm like, every 30 seconds, the class, when they're online schooling, they're like, Miss, should I say this? Miss, should I say that? And I'm only thinking, guys, how are the teachers handling? So my problems are very different. First up, are you missing being back at work and spending so much time with him? Like, do you feel like, oh my God, like, how do you do this 24 hours? Or you feel like the first 30 days were overwhelming, but now you're used to it?
I was pretty much used to it from the very beginning. I'm not a very outgoing person. So I go out, socialize whenever I have to. But going out to restaurants and traveling is one once in a while thing to me for me. Once a week, maybe once in 2 weeks, and I enjoy it. I wait for it. But otherwise, I'm since my son came into my life, I've been quite homebound in the sense as far as evenings are concerned. I kind of set a routine for myself so that I don't get all blah in the mornings, not knowing what to do. So I've set a routine from the morning to the evening that I kind of have a plan for the day. And there's so much homeschooling that I did with him that it didn't feel like I got bored at all. It didn't feel boring at all ever. Also, right now I'm sitting in the office. I'm in my private office, so the offices have started. So I've come to my private office and I'm kind of working from here regarding like doing things like what I'm doing right now, all the work that I have to do. So I'm back to square one with the office hours, etc.
But do you feel it's easier to have a schedule and a like a planned day when you are a parent? Were you as organized before Laksh came into life?
Yes, you have to be organized when you have a child, and if you're a hands-on parent and you're not leaving everything to the domestic caregivers, you have to be organized because you have to be at work, you have to be at the gym, you have to give a certain amount of time to your child. Then you need some time for yourself in the evening to watch TV, have dinner, just read a book, or watch some shows. So you need to plan your day in a way that you get time to do all these things. Otherwise, it becomes very random and you're just sitting around and you're just lazing and you're just then it becomes a little depressing, when you're not really getting into a routine. Of
Secretly,
course,
are you people who don't have children? Are you secretly judging people who don't have children? कि मतलब वो लोग करते क्या है पूरा दिन?
no. I think it's good for them if they don't have children. I think they know why they don't want to have children. They have things to do. I had a child when I was ready to have a child, but a lot of people who don't have kids are busy. They're going out and they're doing things. So each to his own. So I'm not judging it. I think as long as you're clear when you want to start a family, you shouldn't start it. You should. It's good if you're just single and you're not having a child also and not married. That's fine. I mean, as long as you know what you want to do at that point in time. कोई कुछ जबरदस्ती नहीं है. You don't have to do anything for the heck of it of a societal pressure. I don't believe in that.
Right.
Do it when the time is right. So I'm no one to judge anybody. I became a father at 40. Who am I to judge?
Right. So Tushar, tell me what, you said that you should have it when you feel it, right? So what was that moment in your life where you felt like I want to have a child?
I think the paternal instincts start coming in. You start getting affection towards your pet. You start looking forward to coming home to your pet. You start taking responsibilities like a parent should. You become more calmer. You become more mature. You feel that there's an inner transformation that kind of naturally leads you in that direction of, okay, now I'm ready to start a family or become a father or get married or whatever. That's up to you. But time is always. I think if you listen to your inner instincts, if you listen to your heart, if you follow your gut feeling, you're going to find it. You'll find it at the right time. So I was also restless. I was getting restless. That okay, if I'm not married, I need to start a family at least. And at least have kids, and how is that going to happen? And then I met somebody who knew about this procedure of surrogacy and the unconventional way of becoming a parent, single parent, and a lot of people have done it. So I adopted that path. So it was all very natural. I think destiny, as you would say, and a little bit of your own strength.
Right. And what was the time between you deciding, okay, this is what I want, here's the way to get it, and to getting to the final procedure and the nitty-gritties of it, in between discussing with your folks, your sister, your family? How was it so the essential point I'm trying to make is, if someone wants to take the same path that you've taken, what would their roadmap?
Firstly, they have to be sure that they want to take that path. Then you talk to somebody like me, in the sense, if it's a friend, he can ask me. Otherwise, it's always important to speak to someone who's gone through it, to be able to tell you what is it like, and is it really all that hard? Is it really all that great? What are the do's and don'ts? What are the pros and cons? And someone who give you a more hands-on and a more personal experiential touch to it, so that you have an idea of what is in store for you. And then the right doctor, you go to the right hospital or the right surrogacy center, fertility center. So you can read a lot about it, you can Google about it, but I think talking to a friend is a better idea. I think we get more information that way. And then
Right.
and he or she can guide you to a doctor of your choice who's in the field. And then they guide you through the whole process.
Amazing. And what was the conversation like when you broke the news to family that this is what I want to do?
And it was very simple, and I was very straightforward about it. I finished the IVF process, and the IVF was successful. And then I spoke to my mom and I told her that this is what I'm doing. So I did it I spoke to them after I finished with the first stage. So they were obviously a bit surprised, a bit shocked, but very supportive. They said that you better be ready because we are grandparents. We can't be parents. We can be grandparents.
Sure.
So you have to be ready to take the responsibility. And if you want to do it, if you're sure about it, why should we have a problem? So they were quite supportive about it. And obviously then I took each day as it comes. I took each day as it came, and I took it step by step and went with the flow, and gradually opened the cards to my dad and my sister. And then when Laksh came into my life, then to the world.
What was that point where you were just like, the 9 months were nearing and you knew that it was now is any time? Was it like anxiety at its peak that, oh God, were you getting like sweaty hands and thinking, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? Did you ever doubt yourself?
Of course, some anxiety, nervousness was there, but I didn't really break into a sweat as such. It was more like, okay, a new stage begins. It's like I kind of got reminded of the time when I went to the US to study when I was 17, live on my own when I was 17 in a foreign country. That kind of a vibe, that you're kind of getting into a new zone, and a little bit of cold feet, but it still wasn't as tough as it was when I was 17 when I went abroad. I was very, 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 very nervous, but this time I was okay with it. I was excited, nervous, and then once he came into my arms and once he came home, then I was fine. Then I was.
Listen, you're sounding way more confident than me. Like when I held my child in my hands, I was like, how am I going to take care of this? Like, what if I mess up? What if I drop her? What if something? Like, I felt as the most, like, intuitively as a parent, but you're still nervous. Boss, ye to jeeta jagta bachcha hai, it's I don't know how confident you were.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
confident about it.
So I feel it's the same for married couples. I don't feel any more challenged. People ask me, you think isn't it more challenging? You're alone and whatever. I said, but married couples have that same anxiety. It's a new life for them also, and a lot of times the wife has to be the single parent.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that, because a large part of families, I always believe that there is one dominant parent in any family, right? And the other parent is kind of a support function, like cannot be the dominant parent. So I completely agree with you that that I was just sharing my perspective as a mom, and that was no different from yours as a dad, right? That when you have that baby right in your arms, it's always a nervous feeling that, oh my God, I'm responsible for this for life, right? So that's kind of the big anxiety that comes with it.
It was the same thing for me, of course, and I think the only difference was that I have to announce this single parenthood to the world, and what are going to be
Is that more stressful, Tushar? Is that more stressful than everything else that you've gone through to be a father?
I was a bit stressed. What are going to be the repercussions in a society like India's? Am I kind of breaking the stereotype a bit too much? Have I gone too far? Is it going to be too much for the Indian society to handle? What are going to be the reactions? But I was pleasantly surprised that when I announced my child, I think it was the month of June in 2016, 27th June, I announced my child. And the response was, of course, of shock, of surprise, but a lot of positivity from the media to the industry folk to my fans to the general public. Of course, there are some, that 1%, 0.001.
Yeah, who'll always have a point of view.
Yeah, they have a problem with short hair, with your long hair, with going to the temple, with not going to the temple, with anything you do. Yeah.
True. No, but I think just from an audience perspective, I feel and as a fellow parent, I feel I have tremendous respect for somebody who's decided to embrace parenthood. I would not even call it dadhood or motherhood or anything, because I think it's always the parent, right? So I feel whichever path you take, you just embracing that and just say, listen, this is what I want. And just why is it only that a woman can do it and a man cannot do it, right? So there have been so many people who've gone to be single parents way before, who are in the public limelight, but they've never been questioned. It's always a good if the mom does it, but it's always a question mark if the dad does it. So I think
Yes.
we're quite stereotypical in judging.
Absolutely, but वो भी इतना नहीं हुआ. I think वो डर रहता है कि क्या वो हो जाएगा, क्या लोग मतलब though I was doing something very legal, but I guess it also stirred a debate in Parliament after that, regarding surrogacy laws, etc. But ठीक है, it was 2016 then, and we still don't have something that's really passed all the stages and become like a proper anti-surrogacy law yet. So I guess just goes to show how liberal our country is. Internally, we are very, very liberal. Externally, we might be politically correct. We might be saying a lot of ho, ye, go, blah, blah, blah. But internally, I think we are all very, very accepting. We're very diverse. We're very secular. We're very liberal, and we learn to make a balance with our traditions, with all the rituals, with all the history, the culture, and this modernity. I think India is great that way.
And also, I want to know what was childhood like for you growing up with your sister, and now seeing both of your kids grow up together. Like, what are the value systems that you want Laksh to instill from that childhood?
We are fortunate that we live with our parents, so the kids have grandparents also. So there's going to be a certain value system that they're going to get from them, which we got from them. So I'm glad that the Indian value system, which I don't think me and my sister have too much of. None of us in this generation have too much of, but our parents have that. So they will have that old school value system from the grandparents, and at the same time, they have cousins. They're cousins now, so they have each other to play with, which is also something that is a relief for me, because I don't have to have another child now. I was being told that you need to have two. One is too lonely. But I guess now with Ravi in the picture, I think Laksh is sorted. Other than that, just basically going with common sense and instincts to bring them up as to what is the right way to bring up a child. And I read a lot. There's a lot that I learn about discipline, about how to handle child's tantrums, how to give them a love for books, how to engage them in structured as well as unstructured ways. So there's so much that you can learn online now that you don't really need to ask mom, how do I do this? Mom, how do I do that?
Right.
There's a lot of independence that parents have now, because there's so much information online. So
absolutely.
I don't follow everything to the T. I just read a lot, and then I go with my gut feeling. I go with sense and sensibility.
Right.
And I hope he turns out to be a good human being. And I try to do my best for Ravi also. He's like a second child. And Ekta does her best for. So they have each of them has a male and a female figure at home to bring that completeness as far as the family system is concerned. Since we are in India, and they are going to be, they're going to wonder maybe someday that where's the female figure at home. So he's never really asked me that also. Maybe because there's Boa.
Yeah.
And hopefully Ravi will also know that there's Mama.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is great. You're telling me that you are just perfect, Tusshar. I mean, I'm a goofy, clumsy mom. But I want to know all the goof ups and all the clumsiness that you've done. Have you messed up in school? Have you not sent something to school? Have you sent him to the wrong birthday party, wrong time? Have you done all of that?
Yeah, I've messed up a lot.
Come on, I need to know all of that, because you're sounding too perfect. Yeah.
I have this image of being very, very proper, but in school, I was not a naughty child really. I was very conscientious and I was very academically inclined. But I have goofed up a lot in the sense that I have shrugged off responsibility, and I've never really aimed to be this all-rounder. So I was always, sometimes forgetting a book, sometimes not going to school once in a while because I've forgotten a book, so going back home in the car. to save myself from getting.
But are you a clumsy dad as well? Have you done those mistakes with
No.
Lakshya?
I'm not a clumsy dad at all. I was a very clumsy student. I was very forgetful, and at times I was very bad at extracurricular activities. I used to just be good with my exams. I knew how to mug and do well in the exams, and I was competitive with that. But I remember there was a craft project that I was supposed to be doing, and I didn't take the responsibility, so I didn't do it only. And then parent-teacher day is when you're supposed to put it in class at the back, and then the parents come and see the craft work, right? I just told my teacher that it fell off my car and it broke. I lied to her, and I was not really.
It all comes back a full circle. You know all this, right?
Yes. So now I'm so good with him. I'm so. I don't forget.
You've never messed up with him. You've never sent him to a wrong birthday party, wrong time, forgotten to send presents, forgotten to upload class assignments, nothing.
तो once in a while एक बार मतलब वो last minute हो गया तो मैंने जल्दी किसी को भेज के कोई गिफ्ट मंगवा लिया दुकान से और वो इतना छोटा सा गिफ्ट लेके आ गया he doesn't know ना so there's helper at home for a small gift so I gave that small gift only.
Have you recycled gifts, Tushar?
Of course, but I don't use them. I don't use them and recycle them. But if somebody has given me a gift, I keep it. Sometimes I keep it. Look, this is for gifts. Laksh has too many cars, so this is to give us.
I'm loving this. I just love this.
That's fair. That's fair. If you have too much of.
Should we title this episode Tusshar Kapoor Recycles Gifts?
Yeah, recycle of course, but not whole ke recycle nahi karenge. You keep it back and then you pack it up again because you don't want to use. If he has 2 cars or he has blocks or he has.
Listen, don't convince me. I'm guilty as charged. Every single parent does this. So you don't need to worry.
If you're not opening it up, it's fine. If you open up something, use it and then recycle and give it to somebody, that's not fair.
That's ridiculous. That's really ridiculous. But this is you sound to be really too perfect. I'm really impressed, Tushar, that you are really working doubly.
I have kept his toys in a very organized way that okay, these are all the toys, the like electronic toys, the blocks, whatever. These are the artwork, and this is all the activities like puzzles, etc. So I've kept it separately, and we haven't opened all the toys from his first birthday yet because there were so many toys that were gifted that I have this thing one a month, like one intelligent toy and one fun toy a month, or one outdoor toy a month, and then we open every month 2 or 3 toys. And we still not finished all those toys in 3 years. So I'm glad that this year there was no party because we were locked down. So now I'm still using those toys. So I took him to the room and said, you choose whatever you want because it's your birthday. So you don't have to buy anything outside also because you've saved up so many of the toys. And then we give some as gifts, those that we have 2 and 3 of. So you have to be planned with all this. You have to be ready. Okay, there's a birthday coming up on Thursday, so I have to get the gift wrapped right now today so that I'm not late on Thursday. And they're not waiting in the car and I'm backing up the gift or getting the gift packed. And
do you make it a point to go with him for a large part of the birthdays?
Yes, I go for at least 80% of them. Otherwise, sometimes it's just a drop off. Like all the moms, sometimes it's like tic-tac-toe, there's a birthday, you just drop off. Then chutti mil jati hai, then he goes with the domestic caregiver and then I come to pick him up. So then I have to plan that and then you have to write those notes also for the birthday. You have to make the card, you have to get the cards ready, I can't leave it to somebody, I have to do it myself. Someone's birthday coming up, you have to get the card ready. So it's a lot of work.
Tusshar, you are a very meticulous parent. You have everything organized, which you're going to send me a photo of the toy room because ye educational toys hai, blocks hai, ye cars hai, these toys haven't even opened. I want to know how you're so organized.
It's just that when कभी कुछ gift आता है, अगर हम party में जाते हैं कोई return gift मिलता है, it's just that I've learned over the years that it's, I can't just dump it on the side and then not know what's where. Because then later on when you're trying to open, you lose a lot of time. So I've just learned from trial and error that, okay, you have to be a little organized. Like, I think the biggest project that I did was with all the clothes that we had bought when he was small and all the gifts that came in the form of clothes. You have to make sets. So my stylist, who's for my films, so my photo sessions and all that, I got him over. I said, you give me 2 hours. I took all of Lakshya's clothes and we made sets. So like say with one pair of jeans, you have 3-4 t-shirts or 5 shirts. And you keep them in sets and then I instructed everyone at home that you got to open it one by one so that everything gets used.
Wow.
You can't just go to the open the cupboard.
Tushar, you have to do a video. You have to do a video on organizing.
So this is all lockdown work which I've done months and months back. So मेरे lockdown में ऐसा कुछ नया पर नहीं था. I've been doing all this for years.
Correct. But you know, I have a question to ask you.
You know, कपड़े छोटे हो जाते हैं. You have to wear everything.
Correct. Absolutely. But tell me, with having so much, right? With so much that he gets, especially from grandparents, bua, from friends, and you know, being from a well-to-do family, how do you instill the value of things into a child? And how did your parents do it?
He has to do his own work. My parents didn't do it. I think at that time, the culture was such that till you're in third grade and fourth grade, you're still doing and depending a lot on others. But now I think the time is such and the whole culture is such that children have to learn to be very self-managed. So from school itself, from home itself, from a very young age, pick up your own shoes, tidy up your toys, wear your own if you're not tying your own laces, at least wear your own shoes, wear your own clothes. If you can't wear everything, okay, I'll make you wear your pants, you pull it up, put the button on, do half of it at least, to gradually build that up. So you have to instill those values. You have to call everybody bhaiya. You can't call anybody by their name. And I'm very happy that he's in a school wherein they focus a lot on the contribution of environment, the contribution of community helpers at home, helpers outside. Whether it's a doctor, whether it's a nurse, whether it's a firefighter, whether it's a domestic help, they're all equal. They're all adding to society. They're all important. They need to be respected. So all that is part of your education now. So it's not something that as a parent only that I have to do. We do that at home, but it's also part of the schoolwork. It's not just something that you wait for when he's 10, 12 and then I spank him and teach him. We start now.
Yeah, because you don't want him to get the tag of being a privileged brat, right?
Absolutely. And then I don't want to be sitting screaming at him at a later age, and that's not even cool. You don't scream at kids anymore. You don't hit them. You don't raise your voice too much. You can be firm, but you're not supposed to scold them too much. So I don't want him to get spoiled and then I have to scold him and spank him. I want him to learn now itself.
Right. Tell me, do you have a moment of meltdown where you're like, shit, I just cannot do this? Because a lot of women have that. Like as moms, we have a lot of mom meltdowns. Does that happen? Like you have like, I can't do this anymore, or how do I explain this to this child?
Sometimes when he's a very, very naughty, or like he's like, he the toilet training stages, when I was toilet training here, it was a bit frustrating, but that was not so bad as sometimes they get fed up of doing what they're doing and they just spill everything over, or they start throwing things, or they'll hit you in the face, or they'll push you, or they'll test your patience. Sometimes kids begin to test your patience, knowingly test your patience. They don't want to do anything properly, or they just fuss over the food that they've gotten because नींद पूरी नहीं हुई है या फिर something is going on which they can't express. That's when they start overreacting to things. That's when you start wondering that I want to spank this child once, but I've never done that. And that's when you have to have patience. You have to be firm. You have to talk to them. You have to tell them this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and maybe scold them a bit. But it shouldn't go beyond a point where they get scared. So I know we have our own meltdowns, while bringing up a child. But that's when you're going to really control yourself and have patience. Firstly, they're children. Secondly, they will learn if you correct them. It's going to be a constant process. It can't just happen overnight. It's going to have to keep going on and on. You're going to keep correcting them. That's very important. And thirdly, if बच्चे naughty नहीं होंगे, तो फिर it'll be worse if your child does everything correctly and does everything saying yes and does everything without any argument and does everything as per your wish. That's not normal either.
Right. No, absolutely. So how do you manage? Do you have like a support group? Like, are you on the WhatsApp group for school with parents? Do you tell your parents sometimes, listen, I'm done, I need the weekend off, can you just babysit him for some time?
No, I am in a couple of the school group is there, of course. You have to be in it. And then my friends, fortunately, all my girlfriends who are my age, from my my I would say batch, I would say age group, they all became parents at the same time. So I'm lucky that all my friends who I grew up with, or rather I was probably socializing with and who I'm close to, they're all parents of kids of the same age. So we have our group, a Bandra gang, the Bandra gang, the Bandra group, then there's a Juhu group, which is the school group. And so I get a lot of information on that. But I've made it a point not to listen to the moms too much because I think a lot of time they're very faddish. They'll pick on this one school and everyone will attack that school and say, oh, that's the best school. Then after a few years, then they'll say, okay, now there's something wrong with this school. Then they'll all start bitching about it and they'll move on to the new school. It happens with preschools, it happens with big schools. So you have to be very strong. Like the school my son went to, everyone said, okay, that's a big no-no. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to take that chance listening to these moms. I will go with my instincts. I want an IB school. I don't want ICSE school. So I put him in this school and it's turned out to be the most amazing school. It's next to my house and I'm so happy because they've been so amazing, even in the lockdown. So I guess, you can't listen to these, a lot of the
You have to be very intuitive as a parent what works for your child.
What works for your child? What are your goals? What kind of board do you want? What kind of personality development do you want? What is your school's curriculum? Everybody has their own goals and everybody has their own ambitions, so you have to understand your child and then go with that choice.
Right. Tushar, how do you handle the stereotypical parents or the stereotypical questions on, also you're a single dad and you feel like only a single mom gets a lot of credit but a single dad doesn't get too much credit?
ऐसा कोई मतलब people like they ask me casually, okay, how is it to be a single dad? How do you manage it? And how are you managing? But there's never been any malice really because I think it was so announced and it was so out there and everybody knows.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been any malice. Of course, sometimes they do ask. Does Laksh ask you where's my mom? And I'm like, no, he hasn't asked me yet. I have explained to him that every family is a different family.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of families, and there's no one kind of a family. And you can have two parents living in a house. You can have parents living separately. You can have a divorced family. You can have family where there are just grandparents. You can have family where the parents are in two different countries. So I've read books to him. I've explained to him. So he has never really asked me on his own ever.
Right.
So I think that surprises people a lot. How come he's never asked you? I said he's never asked.
Yeah. It's so interesting you say that because, last episode when we recorded with Sonali Bedre, and she said that she never wanted her son to know from anybody externally about what she was going through, but she communicating with her son firsthand. And she's like, when I broke it to the world, it just stopped ceasing to exist around me. So I love that. I feel like you guys are somewhere on the same page. Once you announce it, the world doesn't really matter, right? Because it's only your child and a communication channel between you guys that really really matters.
Right? I think if there's honesty and if you tell your child that okay, this is how it is, it's different, but it's very normal because I wanted you out of love. It was not a compulsion. It was my choice. It was something that I wanted to do, and we are a complete family. We may be different, but we're complete. We're happy, and we will continue. We will continue to do so. So then the child feels secure. He feels loved, and he doesn't get into comparisons. Really, I think the children who get into comparisons are the ones who feel a vacuum at home in some sort.
Right.
Of some sort. So that I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to. Say that okay.
Yeah, don't try too hard. Just let it.
Yeah, and of course, I'm open to issues that might come up. I'm not going to say that there won't be any issues. I'm open to the idea that there will be issues, but hopefully, I'll be able to deal with them as and when they come up.
Absolutely. Tell me, has it made you more responsible in choosing the roles that you now play after being a father?
Yes, I think I'm more time managed. I think I was very bad at time management earlier. I had a messy room and
to a room I now want to see which is super organized, the toy room. Tushar, you have to send us pictures of that.
I always tried to be super organized, but I was never able to be super organized. But now I have no choice, I'm just super organized. And I think I was a procrastinator, is that the right word? I was always
procrastinating. Yes, that is.
Now you can't afford to procrastinate, buddy. You've got to decide what clothes you're wearing. You've got to decide, you've got to finish that work now. You can't leave it for tomorrow because then you're in a crisis and you can't be in a crisis with a child. So if you're alone, you can be in any of these crises. But with the child, you have to be on your toes. So of course, I do make it a point to have my me time, or get my time to myself, and go out, and if I can see it on a show, get drunk with friends, and just do whatever I have to do, and go see a movie, or just sit at home and just have a cup of coffee in the balcony. I make sure I get that time. So if he's at Lego class, then I'm like, hey buddy, I'm home. I'll come and pick you up. And I'm not waiting for you outside. I'll come later and pick you up. And then I go home, have a coffee, and go back. So then it becomes okay. If you're organized, then you can really indulge in yourself also.
So you don't have dad guilt. Like how moms have mom guilt, you have dad guilt.
No.
Is there a word?
If there's ever a time that I've like really taken off, or gone out for an event or something, if I'm not in town, or if I've just not been able to be there for some reason, I'm like, it's okay, he got his space. Sometimes.
Yeah, and he's got bua, he's got grandparents, he's got
that. Yeah, and if he's missed me, it's fine. He needs to learn to deal with that also. And he has to be able to go through some ups and downs also. So if I haven't been able to be there once in a while,
that's okay.
That's okay.
That's absolutely okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, now we're going to play this little game where you need to answer very quickly in a word. Okay, just in a word. What was your first reaction when you had sleepless nights initially, when he was just a baby?
Never.
He slept through always?
Always. And he was always, maybe he slept a little late sometimes, but he would go to sleep and then he'd wake up for his feed only. So after a point, then I told this, there was a sister at that time, like a nurse. So I told her that, you can be in the room and I don't need to sleep there also, because he's just waking up for his feed. So I had a camera installed and I used to watch him sometimes in the middle of the night, but I didn't really sleep with him in the same room. So he sleeps on his own now, so it's okay. So I don't, fortunately I read a lot about the sleep patterns also. You got to put them to bed earlier so they sleep more. They sleep better the earlier you put them to bed. And then we did the 2 naps, and then we became the 1 nap, and then he gave up all naps when he was 18 months.
Wow.
So I think that I was lucky. One word has become one full paragraph.
Okay, next question. Who do you prefer approaching for your child? You feel like a mom is an easier one, or dad is the easier one?
Moms.
They know more.
They automatically talk more about children.
Okay. The one thing you are glad you can outsource while you're raising a child.
When I was raising a milk powder, and they're fab. Trust me, they're fab. They have everything.
Amazing. Raising a child feels like
nirvana.
What's in your child's diaper bag? I mean, he's not very little anymore, but where do you typically travel with him?
What do we carry? We carry a change. Sometimes they drop water, they get too sweaty now in the summer, you have to change them.
What do you document the most of your child?
I keep his artwork that he's done in school at home. I kind of collect it with a date so that I can refer to it later.
Right. How many photos do you take of Laksh in a day?
I would say weekly, I would say 4 or 5, but sometimes on an average 2-3 a day.
That's it?
Yeah. I'm not so much into photos. My sister, she takes so many pictures so that she puts it on the family chat, so I take it from there.
You are really lazy, because most parents run out of storage space on the phone simply because they're just constantly clicking. Like baby smiles, we click. Baby does this, we click. Like we're constantly clicking pictures.
So I do it once in a while. If it's a special moment, then I'll take it. Like his first smile, or his first bath, or his first meal, solid meal. I took those milestones. I was not clicking every day.
One milestone that's a very distinct memory in your head, and you'll just never forget.
The first time he smiled, the first time he spoke, Papa was the first word, and of course the first time he was walking.
Wow. And you were there?
I was there.
Okay, tell me that one moment that will always stay with you forever. Like, was it the day he came home, or what was that moment?
The night he was born and he came home, that will stay with me forever. It was June 1st, 2016, and he was born at 10:45 in the night, and it was a rainy night, and the cot was waiting, and then he came home with the doctor, and we all woke up, very, very early to have him over, because the first night you're supposed to keep him in the hospital. So we woke up early morning to have him at home, and that night I'll never forget.
Wow, that's amazing. It just gives me goosebumps thinking about how anxious you must be that night. And just before we end, one last thing on everybody who wants to embrace parenthood, whether it's motherhood, fatherhood, or be parents together. What's that one thing that you'll tell them about being a parent?
I think the one thing is quality time is more important than all these classes, and patience. Your child is unique. He can't be doing everything 10 out of 10. He's unique and he's special because he's different. So we have to keep that in mind.
Amazing. Great, Tushar. Thank you so much. You really poured your heart out, and I could just see it through your smile each time you were talking about him, which is
I had a
incredible.
great time. I didn't feel the time only. It was so good.
Yeah, thank you.